but talk about it's the third Power Five or Power Conference win McNeese has ever had. What does that mean to you? And the first one you've had as a Cowboy.
It's good. It's hard to do, but look, we got to move forward from that. It closes out the non-conference portion of the schedule, so we got to move into conference. But you know, it was a great win. It was a great night. It was great for our program. It was great for our school. You know, we were trending on Twitter. We were on SportsCenter. All that stuff. You can't buy that. You can't put a price on that. We couldn't market that. We couldn't pay for marketing on that. So it's big for our school. It's big for our community. It's big for our athletic department. That part's all great. But you know, now people are going to want to knock us off. So a lot of people in our league are tired of hearing about us. So we've got a lot of work to do here as we move forward in league.
How do you build on that as you head into conference play? Because they're a tough opponent. It's probably higher competition than you'll see as you get into conference play.
Well, I mean, you know, you build on the principles of how we played. I thought we played one of our more solid games. We only had 4 or 5 possessions offensively that I thought were pretty wasted. Defensively, we were pretty solid outside of getting in rotation and a couple transition defensive deals. We battled on the glass. So you just try to build on the, you know, we met 4 of our 5 game standards, which is hard to do on the road, especially on the road at a Big Ten team. So just try to build off of that. And, you know, you got some deposits in the bank, and we'll need to pull out, some of those, some of those close conference road games. And, you know, you got something in the bank, having won at Michigan. But really, it's just the process of how we went about things.
Playing as you did on the road, how does that help you with 4 out of the 6 to start the conference on the road?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're 4-2 on the road this year. You know, it's just the way the schedule is. So I mean, you're going to play all 18 conference games. You play 9 at home, 9 on the road. And just so happens 4 of our first 6 are on the road. So, you know, if you're gonna be any good, you've got to be able to win road games. You got to be able to protect your home court. And so we've got a task ahead of us here with our first road weekend, and we got to take it one at a time against a good Commerce team.
How do you guys keep the focus? I mean, you got to win against Southern Miss, UL, and now Michigan. 3 really big wins. Now you turn the page the new year to conference. How do you keep the focus?
Well, I mean, look, you got to so. I mean, you know, I look at, like, there's 5 seasons. There's an off season. We won the off season. We got all these players here that are good players, right? Then you have a preseason. So winning the off season, getting talented players had nothing to do with our preseason and how we were going to do in the preseason. So then we did a good job in the preseason. Then you go from off season to preseason to non-conference. Non-conference is now done. We've gone 11-2. Probably should be, you know, 12-1, but we're 11-2. All right, so pretty good. Well, our preseason, having a great preseason, had no bearing on whether we were going to go 11-2. All right, and us being 11-2, now we move from the non-conference into the conference, and you move from conference into postseason. Those are the 5 seasons. And so our non-conference has nothing to do with our conference schedule. We got to start over, just like after we got the team in the off season. All right, that had no bearing on how good we were going to be. We just had a group of talented players sitting in chairs. All right, and then we had to mold it in the preseason. Just because we molded in the preseason, had no bearing that we were going to go 11-2 in the non-conference. And just like that, now that puts more of a target on our back, and we have to play even better in the conference because it's ratcheted everything up. So none of those have any bearing. Just however we do in the conference is not going to have any bearing on the postseason. You don't get a medal for the conference. All right, I mean, it's what happens. So every time you have to reset, you've got to restart, and you've got to reestablish yourself. And so we've got to go on the road here in this first weekend. We've got to reestablish ourselves in the 4th part of the season. I would say we won the offseason. I'd say we won the preseason. I'd say we won pretty well in the knockout. Now we got to do it again. And just because we've done it in the past does not mean we're going to do it in the future. You got to make it happen. And so that's how we got to move forward here.
Coach, let me take you back to the non-conference. These wins are old hat for you. You've been through big arenas and big wins. Where is this emotion and this excitement coming from? Is it the year off? Is it the rejuvenation for yourself?
You get to do something that hasn't been done, to see the joy on, like, I mean, we had some fans up there. I mean, there's people in there crying. I mean, like, means a lot. I mean, Bonnet was going crazy. I just calm him
He
down
was
on
crying?
the scores table. They weren't crying. But I mean,
He does
just
that.
to see I mean, you know, look, you do it. At the end of the day, you do it to make an impact, and we're making an impact. Like our kids were telling me yesterday, they were out in town eating, and people were coming up to them and thanking them and stuff like that. That means, I mean, it didn't mean much to me 10 years ago. I was just a cyborg, just trying to just boom, 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 boom. But now it means a lot more. I'm enjoying it a lot more. I mean, it's more fun to see Heath and Dr. Roos and some of our fans up there after, and just how happy. I mean, just, you know, it means the world to them. And so that's important to me. That's important to our players. I mean, we're treated extremely, extremely well. My family and I have been treated well. Our players have been treated extremely well. And, you know, we've got guys that have been at a lot of other schools and haven't been treated as well as we're treated here. And so there's an appreciation that comes with that. You can never be entitled. And we've got to stay appreciative of the opportunity, appreciative of everything that's been given to us by McNeese and by this area. We got to continue to move forward with that. But you know, I'm enjoying it more just because it's something different and it's more fun. And I'm trying to take a step back and you know, appreciate everything a little bit more.
Do you have different expectations now than you did 6 weeks ago
No,
for this team?
no. Why do we have different expectations?
Is it 11-2?
You didn't think we were going to be 11-2?
Did I think you were gonna be 11-2?
You didn't know who Shahade Wells was either. So it all goes hand in hand.
I asked Hade the same question.
This is your phone ringing with spam from New Orleans. You gonna pick it up?
No. I thank you for the.
Oh, it's a phone call. But no, I mean, our expectations are no different. I mean, look,
Look,
but
23
here's how,
and 1.
okay, look,
23 plus 1.
here's how it gets out of whack. All right, here's how it all gets out of whack. Change in perspective. Is anybody gonna be happy if we win 23 games right now?
Yeah, that's my question.
No.
How have you reset the
If
bar?
we win 24 games, people around here are gonna be mad as hell, right? So that's a reset in the expectation. Now, when I said that in the spring, people thought I had 3 foreheads, right? But now, I mean, it's just the way the expectation. Nobody's gonna be happy with 23 wins now. They'll be calling to fire me if we win 23. So, I mean, yeah, it's a little bit of a change in expectation. But you know, the reason I picked 23 is because we lost 23 the year before. I didn't just pull that out of thin air. I mean, I picked that because we had lost 23 the year before.
So do you have a new
Maybe
promise?
I should have said more if we hadn't lost 23. But I mean, no, I mean the expectations are reset in the sense that I think everybody's expectations are now heightened because, you know, we've won 11 non-conference games, 7 Division I games, but you know, that's not going to do us any good starting on Saturday. I promise you, Commerce doesn't care. I can assure you of that.
Coach, which is more important to you going forward, talent or chemistry on this team?
Both. I mean, we've got both. I mean, look, talent's the price of admission. If you ain't got talent, you got to check yourself at the door. So I mean, you got to have talented players, and then you know, you got the chemistry and all that stuff. Kind of, you know, it's kind of the extra dimension to it. Talent and talented. So you know, you've got when you get the right chemistry, you get the right pieces, and they all fit together right. You know, that's when you can have what we've got going on right now.
Going back to the expectations, how do you manage that with your players? With now they're trending on Twitter, like you mentioned,
You've
and
been in our practices. You think I care about any of that? You were in there yesterday. I wasn't any different than I was in July. We had guys running to the top of the bleachers, not getting back in transition D. We're doing the same stuff. We're carrying the plates. We're doing the same stuff we always do. You just got to be doggedly consistent with what you do. That's why you have a routine. That's why you do the same stuff. That's why we prepare the same way. That's why we do the same thing. And so you just got to be unbelievably consistent. You've got to have your antennas up, because winning causes a lot of problems too. Losing causes problems, but winning causes a ton of problems too. And so you've got to always have your antennas up. You got to look for, you know, all right, we're playing on TV, and this guy went and got his hair cut. Is he feeling himself? I mean, there's a lot of stuff. You got to be on top of every little detail, on top of every little thing.
in October when you guys were picked to finish second, you said it didn't mean anything to you. You didn't care. now that it's here, do you feel a little different now that you're 11-2 in conference plays here?
No, I mean, look, it's like I said, we got to go prove ourselves all over again. The non-conference part's over. I mean, at this point, it's the 18 conference games, one conference game at a time. And so the non-conference part's over. Like, we don't get some, commendation badge for going 11-2 in the non-conference like that. That stuff's over. And so, like I said, I mean, nobody came here to win in the winning the non-conference is nice. That's great. We've got all these things going on, but that's not the purpose of why we're here. That's not what we're here for. And so now we've got to start stacking wins in conference and got to go on the road and play a tough. Nobody's gonna ask me about Commerce. They're good. They're gonna come in like top 4 in our league. Everybody aware of that? They played the 7th ranked non-conference schedule in the country. All right, they shoot the 7th most threes in the country. They shoot 21% from 3 on the road. They shoot 43% at home, 39% at home. If you take out the non-ones, they average 33 attempts a game. Like, they're a damn good team. Nobody's gonna ask about them. We're just gonna talk about all this BS all the time.
We were getting there. So what do you have to do? What do you have?
I was wondering if anybody knew we played Commerce on Saturday.
You got a game? What?
Going
We got to
in-
guard the 3-point line. Did you not just hear all that?
I did.
I mean, they shoot 33 threes a game. They take the 7th most threes in the country. But listen, they've got one of the 3 best wins in our league. They won at St. Joe's. St. Joe's is 10-3 and predicted above VCU in the Atlantic 10. I mean, they've got one of the 3 best wins in the league. I mean, they're 6-7, but 5 of their losses are. I mean, they've lost to Texas Tech, they've lost to Kentucky, they've lost to TCU. I mean, they've lost some expensive. They got paid a lot to lose. And Jared's a heck of a coach, a very good offensive coach. They're very, very physical. They play a ton of guys. They play extremely hard. It's a long trip. So I mean, it's gonna be a challenge. I believe they're one of the top 4 teams in our league, and I think as the league season plays out, I think they're gonna be very, very good. They've got good guard play. They got physical bigs. They can block shots. So I think it's gonna be a very, very challenging game for us.
That being said, as conference play begins with Commerce, how do you see CJ Felder's role? Do you plan
That
to
being
adjust
said,
it?
let me get to the question. I really want to ask and throw in
it's the
Commerce.
same
so we
question.
can talk.
It's the same question.
Felder?
Felder,
I mean,
how do
he
you
played
see-
more against Michigan. And so, look, he's getting his sea legs underneath him. He was in here this morning at 7 a.m. working out. So, I mean, his defense was phenomenally blocked 3 shots. I mean, he could stay in front of McDaniel. He did a great job. And so, we've got to get some lineups where we can play him and Cullum together. We can play him and Shoemate together, so we can mix and match those guys a little bit more. But I mean, he's coming on. He's gonna be just fine. He's gonna be nice to have in conference play. That's for sure.
Beginning with Commerce.
Yeah, starting with Commerce.
Well, Wells mentioned about a little bit more attention to the defensive side, and I think you might have been referring maybe to that perimeter. Is that the area, speaking of Commerce, is that the area that you think this team is going to be challenged mostly from a defensive standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, we got to get better defensively. We've got to. There's some things on our defensive metrics that are not where we need them to be, and so we've got to get that stuff. We've got to get that stuff corrected. And we've worked on ourselves the last couple of days, trying to spend some time on that and get that better. And we need to change up a little bit more of our defenses. So there's some things. There'll be a noticeable difference in our style of play probably on Saturday than what we've been playing. So there's some things that we need to be better at, and there's some things we need to adjust. We can't keep doing the same thing. Teams catch on. Teams are good in league. A lot of these teams are going to talk, and they're going to talk to each other and share everything and share all of our stuff. And so, most of these guys have been around a while. I got 1 or 2 friends in the league. All these other guys are really close. So, I talked to my friend this morning in the league, but so they're gonna share a lot of our stuff, and so we've got to make sure that we're staying ahead on things a little bit.
Do you feel like you're gonna have to survive like a 3-point barrage like you did at Michigan, because they'll get hot they'll have stretches where they'll get hot?
Well, I mean, it's certainly possible. I mean, they take 33 threes a game. You know, they shoot it at 39% against Division I teams at home, 43% overall at home. So, I mean, I think it's certainly possible. We're gonna go in there and try to contest some shots and make it where they don't. But they slip ball screens, they go screen a lot. I mean, they do a lot of different things that get you to drop your inside foot and put you in rotation. And he's a good coach. They drive it in double gaps and create help. And if you're flat, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. They do a good job. So yeah, we're certainly gonna have to contest threes, or it's gonna be target practice.
How important is it going to be for you guys on Saturday to get out to a good start so you can withstand some of those 3-point barrages they're capable of going on, like you mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, we always need to get off to a good start, especially on the road. You know, we need to be able to execute early on. We need to be able to, you know, kind of settle into the game and be able to get the game and the style of play, you know, how we would, how we'd like it. And so I think that's going to be important. It's always important on the road in conference play, whatever league you're in, whatever conference you're in. You know, to be able to play as close to how you want to play on the road as you can.
Not a bad time to look at the league as a whole. I think maybe it was a couple of weeks ago that you had some time. You said, you know, you've taken a peek at some of the game notes and maybe a game or two when you had time when you were serving that 10 games. You mentioned Commerce, top 4. How deep can this league be from this perspective?
I mean, I think there's a lot of teams that are very, very similar. I think there's a ton of teams that are very, very similar. There's not a lot of difference. I think Nichols is really good. I mean, I think Southeastern obviously was picked to win the league. New Orleans is good. Lamar's been playing well. They're a little bit different than most teams. They're just bigger and longer than a lot of teams typically in the league. Corpus is the same way. Corpus is long. You know, they bring one of their leading scorers off the bench, who's kind of instant offense off the bench. I've been really impressed with Incarnate Word. I mean, Shane's doing a really good job. They've got good chemistry. They're tight. They're going to be an extremely tough out. Then we go to Northwestern, which is here in state in Houston. What do they call it? Houston Christian. I always want to call them Houston Baptist, but Houston Christian. And so, you know, I mean, there's good depth in the league, and every league game is tough. Doesn't matter what league you're in, they're all tough. They're all tough because the differentiation in talent's not nearly what it is sometimes in the non-conference, and you know, your deficiencies aren't picked apart like they are in conference play in the non-conference, and so we've got to really be on point, really be sharper with what we're doing.
Anything else? All right, Coach, appreciate it.
Coach.